Hi, and welcome to the Wired
and Rewired podcast.
I'm Chris, and this is my 1000th time watching The Wire.
And I am Ellie. It is my first.
So if you're a veteran on the force or a rookie just starting out, we think you'll find something interesting either way. So welcome to episode 2. We are covering season 1, episode 2, The Detail. Mm-hmm. The synopsis from HBO is: McNulty feels the heat when a witness who testified against D'Angelo is killed. That's
wow.
That is it. I mean, I think if they had Epic Voice Guy or whatever, like, I think then it would really be selling it a little bit better.
It leaves a little to be desired.
Yeah. It was written again by David Simon and directed by Clark Johnson, who has a director's commentary on the DVD, which I'll try to be sharing a few things from the season. Or excuse me, from the commentary. Okay. So, all right, you want to give us the epigraph?
Yes, the epigraph is: "You cannot lose if you do not play," and that is said by Marla Daniels, Lieutenant Daniels' wife.
Yep. And so, I did want to ask a question off the top. Was there anything in the first episode that you thought we missed? Because I did have one thing I wanted to mention.
No, nothing for me. What did you want to mention?
I just want to mention, so we start off the episode with William Gant as lying on the table of the morgue, right? And one of the things I had forgotten to mention was that the flashback at the end of episode 1 was actually insisted upon by HBO because, and it's the only time when the timeline for The Wire is broken, where they go backwards. And it's just it was an interesting thing because it was the pilot, and the HBO execs really pushed for it because they thought that people wouldn't know who the William Gant was lying on the ground there. So just kind of an interesting thing. But so that brings us to...
So you're telling me we're not going to see another flashback ever in The Wire?
A little bit of a spoiler, but yes, that is correct.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, so...
Now I know.
And it's a important component is that they are dedicated to this realism. Mm-hmm. And so when you break the timeline, it breaks that kind of feeling.
Does.
So... all right, so I just wanted to also mention off the top that if you'd like to call me Mr. Nugget for the rest of the episode, I would be okay with that. But it has to be natural. I feel like it has to be natural.
Mr. Nugget.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we're just gonna cover our favorite scenes from the episode.
That sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. Speaking of Mr. Nugget, I'll just start it off. This is one of my favorite scenes.
The chicken nugget.
I mean, the whole discussion is so great, and the way that D'Angelo, what's really interesting to me about it is the way that D'Angelo talks about it. You can really feel like some bitterness in him. Yeah. And so he's still, feeling the pain of being demoted essentially to the low rises. So
I think the man got paid.
Who?
Man who invented these.
Shit, you richer than a motherfucker.
Why? You think you get a percentage?
Why not?
Nigga, please. The man who invented them things, just some sad ass down at the basement of McDonald's. Thinking up some shit to make some money for the real player. Nah, man, that ain't right. Fuck right. It ain't about right. It's about money. Now, you think Ronald McDonald gonna go down that basement and say, "Hey, Mr. Nugget, you the bomb. We selling chicken faster than you can tear the bone out. So I'm gonna write my clowny ass name on this fat ass check for you." Shit. And the nigga who invented them things, still working in the basement for regular wage, thinking of some shit to make the fries taste better, some shit like that. Believe.
Yeah, it just stuck out to me. I could watch that scene just over and over again if I really wanted to, and just anyway, anything else? Anything about that?
Yeah, at first it was hard for me to draw the parallel, like what was going on between the chicken nugget story, because it's not like, they're not manufacturing the drugs. Like, they're not the artists of the thing that they are selling here, though they're definitely doing the grunt work and not making any money or getting any recognition. But there is something that D'Angelo says. He says, "It ain't about right, it's about money." And I think that really, that holds true very much to everything else that happens in this episode, especially given what happened to Gant.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. I didn't even make that connection, but you're right. It wasn't about, William Gant was a threat. Every witness that comes forward is a threat. And so it's not about being right or wrong anymore. So I did want to go into a little bit of detail. I did a little bit of research. So the chicken nugget
Yes.
It was actually kind of there were a couple of really interesting components to it. So the nugget itself was invented by Robert C. Baker.
Oh.
So he was a director of agriculture studies at Cornell University. He was
Cornell.
trying to tackle a portion issue. So basically, back in the 60s or 50s, you could only buy a whole chicken. You weren't really buying chicken parts, and so he was trying to figure out a way.
Breast or chicken thigh.
Exactly.
Okay.
So he was trying to figure out a way to actually like take chicken and break it down into smaller parts that could actually be sold. And so he created this process for taking chicken, getting it into a breaded form, and then being able to sell it frozen. He actually cook it and then sell it frozen. So, in breaded. So, and the interesting thing. So this is where kind of.
You're telling me we went straight from having whole chickens to going to breaded nuggets without taking any of the time to just be like, here's wings, here's drumsticks, here's.
That is a good question. You know what? I think maybe so. I think
Oh my gosh,
it's possible.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that does feel like just like, that step to going to processing everything in that time, that actually does make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. So yeah, but it was funny because so then at the end of it, once he got it perfected, he actually distributed the process to all these companies because he was trying to solve this problem. Like for him, money wasn't an issue. So on the one hand, he wasn't a sad ass sitting in the basement of McDonald's trying to figure out how to make a chicken nugget. On the other hand, McDonald's did not give him a single dime.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
that does ring true.
Yeah, Ronald McDonald did not write his clowny ass name on this fat ass check for Robert C. Baker. So, so that was kind of funny. But then there was like a kind of a coda to it, which is in the 80s, Ray Kroc, who was the founder of McDonald's, did actually want to try to expand the menu, and so he actually tasked his like a senior vice president to actually create the chicken McNugget. So that was actually like invented by a pretty famous chef named Chef Rene Arend, who actually had cooked for Queen Elizabeth II. And so then they get in like, but they couldn't actually replicate the process that he had for this recipe.
Okay.
So then they brought in Gordon's, I think, is for Gordon's Fisherman and the fish sticks, and a couple of other companies to actually get the process sort of sorted out. So
yeah, I remember that.
So a little bit of like a little.
So really, this is about wanting to expand menus and portion control, and not about using all the bits and pieces of the chicken that nobody really wants.
I mean, I'm sure that was part of the process. They did want to try to use all the bits and pieces. I'm sure it bugged them that they were buying these chickens and a lot of it was going to waste, but nevertheless. And so it was just a kind of funny like trip down memory lane. If you're ever interested, go watch Today I Found Out on YouTube about the chicken McNuggets, or the chicken nugget, I should say. I'll say one other thing. One of the interesting things about that was that he was actually trying to create a chicken stick, which I think sounds way more appealing than a chicken nugget, personally.
It actually does.
Yeah. So like
everybody loves chicken skewers.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and I mean, I think Wendy's was selling those for a while. So, but yeah, the other thing I think to mention is, just the writing and the delivery of the "Hey, Mr. Nugget, you the bomb." I mean, just that line is so good. I just love it so much. So
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. All right. So the next scene for you.
Next scene for me, wow. We could talk a little bit about being up on the rooftop there with Kima and Herc and Carver.
Yep.
And they're taking pictures of Bubs having the different hats that he's trying on all of Barksdale's guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I love Akima in that whole thing, just from her being like, y'all some goddamn elephants or whatever she says about how they're walking. They just got no creep, she tells them. But it also kind of sets up the relationship a little bit more between her and Herc and Carver. I did not realize until a little bit later on in the episode that they are all the same rank, right? Like Herc's like, she doesn't have any stripes on her arm. Why are we taking orders from her? And you start to see how embittered Herc is. Kind of Carver's like, I don't know, reluctance to go along, but also, interest in what Kima's doing and learning from her. And her, they keep saying that McNulty's the one that's sort of going lone wolf, but we find out about her that she's got her own confidential informants that she's working with. She's got her own system. She's got a lot of things that she keeps sort of under her belt.
Yep.
So I don't know. What do you think about that scene?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think it helps to reinforce who Carver and Herc are, right? Herc is like, well, it's just I just gotta keep, I just gotta stay in the job, and then I'll get promoted, and I'll get responsibility over time. And he's not sort of looking at it as, how do I learn and do the job better?
Yeah.
It's always about, well, Kima's hasn't been in the CID as long as I have, so she shouldn't be able to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I did have like one small nitpick, which is she got them from wherever the basement was. And by the way, I did want to remind me to come back to that, the introduction to the office.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The basement. Ew. God.
Is like she got him from the base. She's like, hey guys, come with me. And they're like, what are we doing? Where are we going? She doesn't explain any of that.
She doesn't.
And then she gets to the top. They're like, Carv is trying to ask questions and understand things.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I think your point is really well taken, which is, Carver is actually interested. He's trying to understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Herc doesn't care.
Herc doesn't care. Herc's like stepping on rusty nails and being loud, and he's just a complete bumbling idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, of course, like, and that comes to play later on when they go into the towers, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But so I think it's a really good scene. I think it's an important scene. I do really like how it really kind of establishes the three different personalities you have coming over from Daniels' unit, right? You have Kima, who knows what she's doing, has designs on how to actually work the case. You have Carv, who doesn't really, it's kind of like a neutral figure. He doesn't know what he's doing, but he also is, well, I want to figure out how to do something. And then you have Herc, who's like, this is stupid. And,
exactly.
And all that.
Yeah, he's really entitled.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's like white man entitled, right?
Exactly.
Like he is the one white man of the three of them.
That's true.
That's kind of interesting.
That is true. Yeah. So actually, let's rewind a little bit because I do want to talk about the basement scene.
The basement.
So what was your impression?
Well, I mean, it's so funny because the door that they open from the main floor is beautiful. It's got like, this gorgeous wood trim around it, just like the rest of the building. And you open it and you see that you're basically going into a dungeon. And they go down there. Nothing is working. It's dark. It's dank, except the phone is ringing, which is a little foreshadowing, right? But I mean, it really just is showing you like nobody's going to give them a chance. Nobody wants them to be successful on this detail.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never really, I guess that never really just even occurred to me. Like I'd seen it so many times that I think the first time through, I never really even thought about it as being a kind of a message or like just reinforcing this whole notion that this case doesn't matter to anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. But of course you're right about that. And so, and then of course we get introduced to a little bit more of the rest of the crew there. So we get to meet Presbeluski.
Yes.
And that's a whole, I mean,
Presbeluski.
Yeah. Oh, and actually like, in that scene, what's kind of, I don't know, the word that comes to mind is grotesque. Is he's kind of bragging. The reason why he shoots the wall is because he's
gotten his trigger to be so light.
Right.
Yeah, like I could just barely touch it with a finger. I mean, my God.
And you're like, wait, that's what you want to,
Yeah, exactly. Especially, I mean, just thinking about that in the present day where it's just, we want officers now to take more time to think, to de-escalate a situation, not to have a gun that could go off,
exactly,
just like that he's, I do love too, though, they are just all giving him this hard time about like, why did you fire into the wall, Presbeluski? Right. It's like, well, I just wanted to show him that my trigger is so light.
Yeah.
So God, yeah.
So, and then of course, like conversation about him coming in from casualty. So, just for those who don't know, it's actually like not particularly well defined. When I looked it up to try to figure out what casualty section meant, it was mostly like Redditors talking back and forth. Well, I think it's this. And so I think the idea is that it's a cushy assignment. So I think it comes from the story you hear later about how he shot up his own car. And then so they, for a while he's just this casualty of the unit. Yeah. And so they put him in some like do nothing job while they figure out what to do with the guy.
Right.
And so he asks out of basically doing nothing and
Nothing.
getting a paycheck to
Yeah.
actually doing something, which is an interesting kind of characteristic to put a pin in, which is he didn't want to just sit there. He didn't want to just do nothing. But of course, then he goes from that casualty to the basement of
Exactly.
the city hall building,
Yeah.
which as it turns out is they actually shot in the basement of City Hall.
No way.
Yeah, that wasn't a set. It wasn't a
'Cause
studio
I
or
kept
anything.
thinking, I was like, what kind of city hall or police building or something has a space like that?
Yeah.
And it just didn't feel realistic to me. So
Yep.
that you say that is pretty phenomenal to me, actually, that even exists.
Yep. Yeah. So that was that. But it wasn't like a. It's a kind of a funny scene, but it doesn't really
Yeah.
move the plot along forward too much. But just kind of funny to me.
But let's go back. I mean, that Presbluski wants out of Casualty, though. I mean, to me, it just feels like he's got like something to prove. I mean, we find out that he's there because of nepotism, right? Like,
Yep.
so I don't know. To me, it's just like he wants out because he just wants to, I don't know, like fuck some shit up or something. Like, be a tough guy. Be a tough guy police officer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he does. That's what we see of him today.
Yeah. Right.
So but I think there's an interesting thing to touch on when we get to him.
Yeah.
After the shootout at the. So that's going to be
Get
a
to
whole.
that.
Yeah, but we'll try to stay in chronological
pin
order.
in
So,
that.
so the next one is that I have written down is the cops. Come over to the couch in the low rises,
yes.
and D'Angelo and Bodhi are there.
Yes.
Again, this scene. I mean, it's just amazing to me. Like the scene in the low rises they're just so good.
Yeah.
I love right off the bat that McNulty they walk in like they own the place.
Yep.
And McNulty grabs this wire basket and
Yeah.
just sits down and they just.
Just turn it over, just pick up some like used drug something
Yep.
off of the ground, and yeah.
All right, and so the interesting thing about it is that McNulty doesn't say anything. He just picks it up, and then he looks at D'Angelo, and then like D'Angelo responds,
Yeah.
right? And so I get the sense that that's like a common police tactic,
Yeah, yeah. To just find something and plant it on somebody if you want to bring them in.
Yeah, well, I wasn't even thinking about. I mean, I wasn't thinking necessarily in that terms, but it was more like if you just sit there, like with the witness at the beginning
Yeah.
of the very first episode.
Oh, right.
McNulty just sits there,
Yeah.
and the witness says, "I'm not going to court."
Yeah.
And he just sits there because McNulty knows that if he's guilty or if he's
Yeah.
got like something on his mind, he's going to share it.
Yep.
So anyway, I just thought that was an interesting component. And once D'Angelo says, you're not going to put that on me.
Mm-hmm.
Now McNulty has like an in,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And so that part I just love. They just settle in.
Yeah.
And they just make the guys uncomfortable or
right.
whatever.
Right.
So
they're gonna stick around.
yeah,
Yeah, and we were talking about this a little bit beforehand. Just the fact that the other guys, they stick around for a bit,
Yeah.
and then they take off. I mean, who is it that's like, if you're gonna say something, you're gonna get got. And I'm sorry, that's the way it is, but that's just the way it is. And
Yeah.
then they get up and they go, and it's just D'Angelo there. And we were talking about, why doesn't D'Angelo leave with them?
Yeah.
Why does he stay?
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Well, I think the best I can, because it doesn't make any sense to me,
Yeah.
is that D'Angelo, I think he either has something on his mind,
Right.
or he is, because I think that at the end of the first episode, I think he is troubled by the fact that William Gant got shot,
Yeah.
and so I think that he just is sitting there, and it's his conscience that's keeping him, or he might also be looking at it as, hey, I don't have anything to hide. I'm not
Yeah.
scared. You guys aren't gonna make me whatever. So that's but otherwise it doesn't other than that, it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, that's
to me.
what I was trying to think of. I mean, is it just, for convenience in the writing for the story that he stays and that this happens to him? Or is it that, his character, I don't know if it's like a kind of penance because he does feel some sort of guilt that he needs to stay there, or if it's that he, like you said, like he's like, well, they don't have anything on me. I got off scot-free. So, I'm just going to stay here and I'm not going to act guilty because I'm going to pretend I'm not guilty.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question though. But and then of course, like you fast forward a little bit, and he says, "Okay, I'm out of here."
Yeah.
And then the cops are
And then
like,
they're
"Okay."
like, bend over.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that a couple of nitpicks with this. The first one is like, why isn't D'Angelo leave with Bodie,
Right.
who was sitting with him, or why doesn't he protest and say, "Hey, you guys don't have a charge. Like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not going with you. You
Yeah.
have to like get me, And he doesn't do that. He just, well, I guess we're, I guess I'm, they're taking me in.
Right. Or even like at the end, like Weebay and Stankham and Stringer all drive up as he's being taken away.
Right.
Nobody, like Stringer does not come out and is like, what do you have on him?
Right.
Like, why are you taking him away?
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think if I'm going to be cynical about it, I think it's just if you're living in that world and the cops tell you I'm taking you in, you go.
You're going.
Because,
right.
they'll just make up some reason. So,
That's true.
Which makes me pretty sad, but
Yeah.
of course all right, so that took me to the interrogation scene.
Right.
So
Greatest.
just
awesome.
just such a good scene. We should kind of pause for a second. I love the setup for the scene.
Yeah.
I love the way that Daniels comes in.
Right. Yes.
And he's like hitting McNulty and
Yeah.
pushing him to say like you have to work with me if you want this to get done right.
Exactly.
I really enjoyed that part of it, and I liked. There's a really great pull-in camera shot where he says, Bunk says, "Hey, I can get some coffee. You want some coffee?"
Yeah,
and then,
exactly.
And then,
Keeman
goes, and then he's, "I need to talk to you," and he pulls in, and the camera's like right on Daniels.
Yeah.
And Cedric Lance Reddick, R.I.P. He's like his intense look is just
He's
so
dead,
good.
Chris? No.
He just
What?
died. He just died a couple of maybe a month ago, something like that. So it's
R.I.P.
really
for sure.
really
Okay.
sad. So, but in any case, the interrogation scene.
Yeah.
I'll mention one thing. Right off the top is that the story that McNulty tells about the boy in the barbershop.
Yeah.
Sadly, that's a true story.
Oh my
Can you believe
God!
that?
No,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So what jumped out? What stood out to you other than that?
Well,
Sorry,
I
shouldn't
mean,
have, like,
okay,
stomped on it.
it's going to be good because, he wants Kima to go in there. Daniels wants Kima to go in with the,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, she's going to be a part of this. She's basically our representation from our
Mm-hmm.
side of things. And they're like, and, McNulty's saying, no, I mean, Bunk and I have a thing. We have a flow. And so you kind of know it's going to be good, right? Like they have something that they do together. And when they get in there, the way that they're just bouncing off of each other and building these lies about Gant. We learn really early on when they're in the morgue, I think, and they're talking to the coroner. They're like, "Yeah, no family, just worked."
Yep.
That's what you learn, and then later you hear them building up these lies about how he worked 2 jobs for his 3 kids, 5, 9, 11. I mean, it's just awesome. Yeah, he was a deacon of a church. I mean, and you can just see D'Angelo's just breaking down and just feeling like terrible about what has happened to Gant. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 100% on the money. And yeah, I think you're the understanding the way that McNulty and Bunk work together, seeing that in action is really it's really great as well.
Yeah.
I have, with the entire season in my memory already, I think this is one of the finest acting performances of the entire.
Really?
Lawrence Gilliard absolutely crushes the scene.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe I just remember when I first saw it, I just thought it stood out so much about just he starts off being super like where my lawyer at,
right,
and then he's like just breaking up about the kid. I mean, it just really
totally.
So, D'Angelo
gets to this kind of reflective place where he's just like, they didn't. It was just about me, and
he had to do that.
Shoot up a barber shop? No, they did not have to do that.
That man was just my thing. My thing ain't had. They ain't have to do that.
No mama and no daddy.
Lord Jesus.
the moment he says that is the moment that McNulty and Bunk know that they have
Exactly.
something, and they're going to go get the notebook. And why don't you write a letter to the kids that you're sorry about what happened to their father?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty brilliant.
Yeah, and then just the kind of the coda to that. There's an interesting about when Maurice Levy, the lawyer, shows up.
Oh my God, that lawyer.
Oh, you have some thoughts?
Oh my God. Oh God, I hate him so. I mean, just, it's hard because D'Angelo is not a good guy. He's complicated, right? Like I'm learning to see him as this complicated character that has this piece about him that I can really like. But he killed somebody.
Yep.
Right. So when the lawyer first starts going after him, I'm not very, I don't feel bad for D'Angelo at all. But then when he starts doing the you people, how many times do I have to tell you people this, and smacks him on the head? Oh my God. I hated that so much. I hated that so much. It's just like, oh, this fucking racist.
What the fuck? Stop writing now. Just shut up. He calls his lawyer. That's supposed to be the end of the interview.
Your client gave no statement. We took no statement. He just decided voluntarily to write a letter to the victim's family.
Just say
Shut up.
Any charge here?
No charge.
Good. Get up. Go. Walk. Listen to me. If you don't say anything, you don't do anything, you don't write anything. Do you hear me? Shut up. How many fucking times do I have to tell you people the same fucking thing?
Bastard lawyer doesn't get to eat his brisket. And,
Right.
just, oh my gosh, that just got me riled up.
That's okay. See, I don't know. Maybe I think if you ask like most people who watch the fans of The Wire whether Maurice Levy is racist, I think you will. That comment, the "you people" comment, was racist. I read it a little bit differently.
Okay.
I read it as like the guys in his drug portfolio.
Yeah.
But I think you're almost certainly
Yeah, it
right.
just felt like you people, you black people that I have to represent here.
Right.
That's how it came across to me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's an interesting detail about that though, because he smacks him on the head, which I mean that is just like,
Look, I even wrote "ew" in my notes. "Ew" with exclamation point after the "you people."
nice.
How
Yes,
strongly I felt
ladies and
about
gentlemen,
that.
I can see it. I can see it right there. But then like D'Angelo, he hits him and he looks at him and D'Angelo just stares at him and Maurice Levy opens the door for him, which I thought was kind of an
true.
interesting.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
No, it doesn't excuse it.
Right, it
to me, it's
doesn't,
more
but-
like. I think he can be both racist, but also
Yeah.
recognize that he is the
Right.
servant in the
exactly.
So to
These are
speak,
his
or-
clients.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
he's
I thought
getting
that was
paid
kind
some
of-
good money.
Yeah. So that was kind of an interesting thing, and then so there's that carries us over to, this is like the whole impetus behind this is that they talk about the letter with Daniels, and
Yeah.
Daniels like reading, he's like, what can you do with this? And McNulty says, well, nothing, but
Right.
it shows that there's something to this case.
Yes.
And so, and I think to bring it back to the scene where they're on the couch, or D'Angelo's on the couch and they're arresting him, McNulty like isn't, he's looking at it from like, we know what happened here. Like, there's no mystery. Like, are you trying to tell me that William Gant didn't get shot for testifying? Like, it's ridiculous.
Right.
Let's be honest here. It's more about like, how do we actually put the case together to build evidence
Right.
and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, of course they get shut down, and I think that for McNulty, that's pretty discouraging, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of leads to like the scene at the end, or his last scene when he's in the car and he's drinking and stuff. But he's just discouraged. But before we get to that one, I think I wanted to jump next to the Bubbles, Kima, and McNulty scene.
Yes.
This is also just a terrific scene.
I love Bubbles so much.
Yeah.
I love Bubbles so much.
Yeah.
He's a great character.
And I have a challenge for you.
Okay.
I want you to. So the actor's name is Andre Royo.
Okay.
I want you to find a scene where he doesn't absolutely murder the scene.
Okay.
I think
Doesn't exist.
I don't think it exists. I don't think it exists.
He's so good.
He is really good. So what jumped out to you about that scene?
I mean, I just, the fact that, I mean, I think it's just such a clever way that they have first of identifying these guys that are in Barksdale's crew. The hats, he's selling the hats, and, he tells them, I don't remember any of the names, but I remember all of the faces, and they're getting all of this intel from this guy
Yeah.
who's a druggie, right? Like, and two, I mean, I just, when they're like, how much, I think it's McNulty that asks, like, how much for this information. He's like, this is on the house. This is because, they got my boy. They stomped him. They beat him up. And just makes me have so much heart for Bubbles, too. You know, that he's just like, I got to see retribution for what they did to this guy over a few dollars.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think that there's an important. You mentioned Johnny, who got beaten up in the first
Johnny,
episode,
exactly.
and I think that of course, it's called The Game, right? And
Yes.
and I think that one, I kid you not, as you're talking through that, what triggered in my mind is like, the game is a net loss. So when you talk about you cannot lose if you do not play,
Yeah.
the game, like, there's no winning.
There's no
There's
winning.
just, it's all losing.
Yep.
And of course, like, Bubbles and Johnny are just kind of pawns. I mean, they're pawns of pawns essentially in the
Yes,
whole
exactly.
thing. But just by being in the game, they end up losing something, and so he lost something. And
Yeah.
of course, now he's trying to make it right. Of
Right,
course,
in his
and,
way.
Yeah, and he's just like when you think about the hat scene, and he's just. I mean, the way that he sells that.
I know.
My God, what could he?
Oh, he's got them laughing,
Yeah.
and I mean, he's such a character, right? It's just and just so intelligent.
Yeah.
I mean, just under the surface, there, you just seeing this guy who's really clever.
Yeah.
Really clever.
Yeah.
I'm out here trying to outfit niggas with something to follow some pussy. Y'all don't want to know, boy, but I'm just to get that pussy. And I reckon pussy ain't worth what it used to be. Y'all can do it without a proper grin, right? Come on, big man.
For sure. And yeah, the way that, yeah, exactly right. And of course it makes so much sense that, and I think that that's a good thing about when we talked about, like, why did Keeman not explain the hat scene so that you could have this payoff a little bit later?
Yeah.
But it is like, but in any case, yeah. And so there are a couple of little details about Bubbles that I love as well. And this is not really about the story, but McNulty walks in and asks Keema if he wants privacy.
Yeah.
And she says, no, it's fine. And then
he's
she
cool.
she says to Bubbles, oh, he's cool. And Bubbles just gives this like little thumbs up. Like this just little,
right,
he doesn't give too much. He's like, I still don't trust this guy.
Yeah.
And then at the end, McNulty gives him $20.
$20.
Which,
You got to spoil him.
yeah, which is a little bit of like a weird thing. I don't know how to deal with that because, like, what is it coming out of their? I don't know how it works with cops.
I
Is it coming out
don't
of their own
know.
pocket
I
or-
don't know if it's like some kind of petty cash or that's really just out of his own pocket.
Right.
Yeah.
But he takes the money and he does this little hat tip. It's just it's so subtle, and I
yeah.
just that's why, like, Andre Royo, I mean, throughout the whole series, you'll just see like he's
so
he's
good.
such a gift to the
Yeah.
to the series. But those little moves, I just love. But and of course, it also, the scene really does serve to just kind of show like kind of what his situation is,
Right.
and just how he's feeling, how you feeling, Bubs, and it's like, I'm
Yeah.
restless,
Yeah,
and go
getting
east side,
restless, yeah,
and
yeah.
he's like, well, I'm just gonna go where I can, So it's a great scene though overall. I just love how it furthers the. I think it's really important for the viewer as well to see how Bubbles is going to play a role and how they have like a bit of an in now, right?
Yeah.
And they've got him,
Yep.
not an informant per se, but okay, now they've got somebody, like they've got some strategy to actually get some
Right.
identification.
Yes.
So
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, now they know those guys and they have the plan that they set up, right? Like once they have the whole team back together down there in their dungeon office, and Daniels and Keema basically say, like, this is what you guys are going to do, and it's Hurt, Carver, Sinner, and Greggs. They're going to go follow back with the street dealers, right, and try
Yeah.
to roll everybody back to Barksdale, and they have that intel now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so that's another good scene that I just love from this episode. All right, what's your next one? I think there's one sitting out there that I think we want to talk about, but
I mean, did we go to the? Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's do it. The most intense scene that
Yep.
we have had thus far. And I mean, just a really intense scene for like all of television. The Herc and Carver and Presbluski, the idiot, are all drinking, and they decide that Herc especially, his huge chip on his shoulder, is like, we're treated like crap. Why are we having to do this? Why are we having to do this? And, we're going to go over to, is it the terrace? That's the terrace.
Yeah,
I think
the
of
towers,
the terrace,
yeah,
the
the towers,
towers. And, we're going to show them, who's boss around here. You can't mess around with us. And so, oh my God, they go over there, and even starting out, and they go over there and they just shake down the guy who's like holding a bag of laundry,
Yeah.
right? Like push him to the ground, and just, and everybody's yelling at them from the windows, just like, shame on you, and, get that out of here. And it just, that already is bad, and it just gets worse from there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think one interesting thing, I tried to look up what the camera, like the style of camera that they use, but if you watch it, like the way that it's filmed is different. And I think it's intended to really put you off your, really unsettle you.
Yeah.
Which
My gosh.
Which I just appreciate that kind of
Yes.
that thing. But yeah, I mean, and of course, like you want to talk about still applicable. I mean,
Yes.
you can walk into a place
100%.
as a cop and just be like, hey, we're three
Yeah.
cops. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Like, you're going to tell me not to,
Yeah.
like, you're going to raise up and tell me that, you're not going to be searched. Yeah, you're going to be searched.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? It's 2
Yeah.
a.m. No
Yeah.
one's going to believe shit.
Until the community's like, we're not going to take this
Right.
shit anymore.
Right.
And the minute that, so who is the kid that is on the hood of the car, and he is eating a bag of chips, and he's just leaning up against the hood, and he's like, you're not going to do anything to me. Do we know his name?
Yeah, we don't in this episode. His name
Okay.
is we will learn it later, but I'm not spoiling anything. So his name's
Okay.
Kevin Johnston.
Okay. Yeah. And he's just, man, he's just being a teenager, right? He's just an invincible teenager.
Yep.
And then Presbluski just cold cocks him right in the eye with the butt of his gun. And this kid's just like, my eye, my eye, my eye. And everybody is seeing this from the windows.
Yeah.
And it's the moment that first bottle hits the ground, and then everything just goes to pot. You're talking about the camera angles. That's when, like, the camera gets really shaky, and you feel like you're down there. You're ducking, by the police vehicle as everything's coming, and then the TV comes down. Oh my gosh, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It was just, I was terrified watching that. It was so intense.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I kind of want them to get it, but I'm also super scared for them
Sure.
also, and they're calling for help from the radio. I can't remember what is signal 13, officer in distress, highest priority. I had to look that up. Yes. And yeah, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that was just intense.
Yeah.
Super intense.
Yeah, I mean, that's all very well said. I don't really have much to add to that, other than I like the fact that Herc says I'm hit, and it, like, clearly he just he just probably cut his forehead on some glass.
Exactly.
And of course, like, the kind of the payoff of Presboluski's light trigger pull is that he just, like, aims indiscriminately at a building
Oh
and
my God,
fires his gun.
such a
It's just a miracle for him that
idiot.
he didn't actually hit anybody.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is. It is.
Yeah, that part was
Yeah.
really upsetting.
Yeah, and then so let's talk about the fallout, right?
Yeah.
Like so that, cuts to black basically, and then it's the morning time, and McNulty gets a call from Bunk first. He's like, go look at a newspaper, and like Bunk's like mad at him, and we see that Gant's murder, that he was a witness and that he was murdered, is in the newspaper. So there's that, like, huge blow. And then we go to the aftermath of this attack against Hurt Carver and Presbluski. And the car's all like charred to pieces, and these guys are sitting in the back of an ambulance or something like that, and they look like hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it, and that just a small detail, but, like, yeah, it's clear that it's cold.
Yeah.
Right. And, like, when Daniels is, like, dressing him down.
Yes.
And he's,
Oh
he's like
my
having,
gosh,
you
yeah.
could tell, like, Lance Reddick is having trouble, like, enunciating because it's so cold.
Yes.
Or at least that's how I'm kind of
Yes,
reading into it.
totally.
And so
Yes.
they've been there all night.
They've
right?
been there
They
all
were just
night,
sitting there, yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. And I think that what's of course, really interesting is that you have this lieutenant who has to figure out how to get his people out of the.
Oh my God. I know. I hate that. First he does dress him down, which you feel so good about. Like you just want to watch them just be completely chewed to pieces by Daniels, right? Like he's like, why were you doing this? Oh, we were just, we're trying to get some intel. It's like, what intel did you get from this? What did you learn from this?
Police work.
Yeah.
I got a 14-year-old in critical but stable condition at university. And 2 witnesses who say one of you Princess cold-cocked him with the butt end of a pistol.
No, sir.
I got his mother over at IID filing a formal brutality charge, which for her will make an even 4 in the last 2 years.
It's none sustained.
But all of them true.
Lieutenant, we thought that...
I got 1 less Crown Vic than I had last night. I'm out 2 Kevlar vests that burned in a car, 2 handheld radios, a shotgun, and I'm about to lose this idiot here for a week or 2 of medical. And for what?
Lieutenant, we thought...
What did you learn when you went into the terrace at 2 in the morning to conduct field interviews? What valuable information did we acquire from this situation?
And they have nothing. But then when they find, he asks, like, who hit the kid, who cold-cocked the kid, and Pryzbylewski says that it was him who did it. And he's like, why did you do it? And he's like, he pissed me off. And he's like, oh, no, that's not why you did it. And basically manufactures for him what he needs to say to protect his ass. And
now tell me, who cold-cocked the kid?
Me.
Why?
He pissed me off.
No, Officer Pryzbylewski, he did not piss you off. He made you fear for your safety and that of your fellow officers. I'm guessing now, but maybe he was seen to pick up a bottle and menace Officers Houck and Carver, both of whom had already sustained injury from flying projectiles. Rather than use deadly force in such a situation, maybe you elected to approach the youth, ordering him to drop the bottle. Maybe when he raised the bottle in a threatening manner, you used a kill light, not the handle of your service weapon to incapacitate the suspect. Go practice. You fuck the bullshit up when you talk to internal. I can't fix it. You're on your own.
oh my God. That this is exactly what happens in policing today. I mean, we've seen it over and over and over again. It's so hard because you have so much, up to this point, you have so much respect for Daniels and you like him so much as a character. He's the guy that's doing the thing the right way and following all the channels. And then you hear this and he's like, no, that's not what happened. Like you thought he was going to hurt you and you actually hit him with your flashlight or whatever. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Go practice it. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, and when he's talking with his wife afterwards and she's saying you should have hung them, it's...
So you don't do that.
I just,
can't send him to IID.
I mean, it's just, and the thing too is that he spends this whole he has that whole conversation with Cantrell about getting rid of Pryzbylewski, and here's his opportunity to get rid of him, like golden opportunity, and yet
I didn't even think about that. That could have been his opportunity to get rid of him.
Yeah,
and he still protects him because it's a brotherhood, it's a fraternity, it's it's an insiders club.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's such a shame, and you're right though. There are no heroes.
Yeah.
Right. Every time you think, oh, Daniels is going to be the hero of the story, you're like, well, no, not really.
No. Dang it.
Yeah.
No heroes.
So
everybody's complicated.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is the way that the series is gonna go for you. So,
oh no.
I wanted to mention one other funny thing, which is so from Clark Johnson, the director, he said that the burnt up car. He's like, oh, it's on eBay now. It's a real fixer-upper, which I appreciate that kind of sense of humor. But he also mentioned that whole speech, he himself said, this is the underbelly of law enforcement. It is like just, Ed Burns, who was, one of the creators.
Right.
He is well aware of this kind of behavior. It's important to recognize that if, it might feel like now there have been enough cop shows that are like, oh, they're dirty cops or whatever.
Right.
where it feels like a little bit more common, or they're not really. But
Yeah.
back then it was like Law and Order, and
Right.
where not like the cops were essentially immune.
Yes.
Right. Oh well, you're a cop, so you clearly must be doing it right. In fact, just by coincidence, I rewatched Lethal Weapon 2
Okay.
this past week.
Yeah.
And my God, like Mel Gibson's character is like the worst cop in
he's
the world.
terrible. Yeah, I know.
It's like he just,
It
oh,
is.
well, you're clearly guilty, so I'm going
Yes.
to break a bunch of laws.
Exactly. Yes.
It's like, what the hell?
Yes.
And so, anyway, it's just kind of an interesting thing, and I like to look back on that, and that there wasn't any kind of concept of, at least
Right.
it wasn't particularly common for cops to be held accountable, not
Yeah.
on TV anyway.
Yeah.
So kind
Well,
of
and I think, in their mind, it's like it's like a kind of casualty of what they do. Like people don't really understand what we do and how hard it is. And this is just something that's going to happen, when you're doing the kind of job that we do,
Yep.
which doesn't obviously have to happen, but
right.
I think that's some of the justification for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then of course, like I think the last little bit of it is it's interesting because the victim, Kevin Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
he comes off as an asshole, right? You don't have any reason to root for him, but it's as a parent, he is not much older than my son is, and
Yeah.
I just think like, is there any reason in the world where you would hit a 14-year-old in the face with a gun?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
they're really like, apart from like, imminent mortal danger, there's,
Yeah.
there's no reason
Just
yet.
eating
Like,
chips on the hood of your
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
Give me a break. Leaning, again, not on the hood of your leaning
right,
against the hood of your car.
right.
Oh
And
my
so,
gosh.
and I think there's an interesting component. One of the other things that in the commentary is that a lot of the slingers, the really like young drug dealers, the ones the hoppers that are working, they're all 14 years old, and so
Oh my
they
God,
have this
they're
like
babies.
exactly. So they have this like age to them that
Mm-hmm.
where they feel much older, but they're still
Right.
like,
Yeah.
what did I
They're
didn't know
young.
anything when I was
Yeah.
a kid,
No.
and I was a punk when I was 14 also.
Yeah.
So
No, I was not. I was really good. But yeah,
sure, yeah.
I definitely knew nothing when I was 14.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. So it obviously like it's such a it's the way that it's written, the way that it's set up. It's such a great scene, and it tells us so much about the police force, and
Right.
and I do like the Cedric Daniels component behind it
Yeah.
because if he's going to be honest about the situation, he's going to be with his wife.
Yes.
And of course he just explains, well, you just don't do that. Like you
Yeah,
just don't,
exactly.
you just don't hold your people accountable other than, whatever. And it's just it's something that you just have to reflect on. And it
Mm-hmm.
feels just very prescient with the way things are right now, unfortunately. So we skipped over like the barbecue scene and with Avon and
The conversation between D'Angelo and Avon.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just the one thing I'll just mention about that is, of course, like it's not particularly, it doesn't move the story along really, but it does kind of sort of reinforce that the relationship between Avon and D'Angelo, which I think is
Yeah.
because it's a very important one, that he's always like Avon is looking out for D'Angelo.
Yeah.
He's going to continue to do that.
Yeah.
And he's trying to like school him. He's trying to get him to, but he also isn't going to tell him everything, right?
Right.
He's going to,
For
hey,
his own protection.
whatever happened to that guy,
Yeah.
happened.
Right.
So,
What's that got to do with you?
right,
Nothing.
exactly. Those are all the scenes I've got for the. I mean, which is basically the whole episode. I mean,
It's
just
basically the whole episode.
I did want to mention. Let's see. There are a couple other little details that I loved. The meeting between Daniels and Rhonda Perlman.
Yeah.
I just love the way they set up that office, and
I do too.
feels so. Oh my god, it makes
Yeah.
me so uncomfortable.
Oh,
There's
God,
all this
it's
paperwork
so
and
messy, and then she's
know.
eating some sushi in there
Right,
too, and she's
right.
not even holding her chopsticks very well. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that scene too. It's interesting if we go back to the epigraph. The you cannot lose if you do not play. Even Rhonda says when Daniels is trying to get her to help him out with the crew that he's got, could you say something to somebody? Can we get some better people? And she says, my office doesn't play like that.
That's right.
Like the whole damn thing is a game to
Yeah.
everybody. And it is, if we're going to kind of maybe touch back to the epigraph, it's like, I don't know, maybe this is only the second episode, but it's like this turning point where here's the team, once you start the game, there's no turning back.
Right.
Right. You're in now.
Yep.
Whatever is going to happen, which is most likely a loss, given that everything is stacked against you. It's rigged.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's an excellent catch. And it's always important to kind of recognize when you talk about playing the game.
Yeah.
Everything is there's a game in every different way, right? Every way you want to look at it, whether it's the drug dealers, whether it's the cops, there's all kinds of things. The conversation between Judge Phelan and McNulty about the witness.
Yeah.
McNulty says, "You missed a spot," and then in the very next scene,
what's done is done.
Mahone. Oh yeah, right. Is that a reference? I thought
I
a
don't
reference
know.
to? I thought it was Shakespeare, but I thought
It
was,
might be.
where it might be like Macbeth.
Yeah.
Where like she's when the whole thing about damn spot.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if like what's done is from that, which I think would be
because it
kind of
isn't interesting to say there at that point.
Yeah. But that would be like a total writer flex, right? It'd be like I'm making this. But one of the things you'll see is that they'll connect two scenes together, kind of two seemingly unconnected scenes. So McNulty says you missed a spot in the very next scene. I think it's Polk says you missed a spot to Santangelo, who's mopping the floor.
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
so it's just like one of those like they do. That's a little trick that they do every once in a while, keep things kind of moving along, which I really liked. So, and I think it's
I didn't even notice that.
But more to the point is like all this stuff is connected. I think
Right.
that's kind of the element there.
Right.
I forgot to mention that Kevin Johnston, who is the victim, he was the bucket drummer. So when Herc and Carver and Kima are up on the roof, the scene opens with him playing the bucket drums.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, which it makes it again
Trivia.
which makes it so much more tragic, right?
Yeah.
Like and he's like really talented bucket drummer, and of course like he just mouths off, and now his whole life has changed. It's just so sad.
Yeah.
Those are the other details that I just picked up from the series, or from this episode. So next ones, I just want to mention a couple of the music choices that they made. "Good Times" by Chick is playing in the barbecue scene between D'Angelo and Avon are in the background, which I just liked.
Yes.
Avon is like kind of like, oh, we're talking about
Right.
good times.
It's
and,
totally different side of Avon you're seeing.
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, and I mean, the barbecue scene. Sorry, one little detail is that it's like all like locally, or it's all part of the director Clark Johnson's family is like populates the entire scene.
Are you serious?
Which I thought was hilarious.
That is really cool.
Yeah. American Woman is playing on the radio, and I mentioned these a couple times because I think that one of the interesting components is the musical choices, and that they're all coming from a source within the scene itself. Mm-hmm. It's not, with a few exceptions.
Yeah.
It's not coming
It's not
from
like music that's laid over. Yeah.
So, but American Woman is about like hardcore patriotism. So you have these guys that are like, that are well, we're the police force, and we're the
Right.
ones who are going to decide,
Yep.
what's happening here. And I think we talked about this before the episode. Just to come back to that for a moment, is that while Przebylewski is like the main idiot in this whole thing, he's not the guy who's like deciding to go into the towers.
Right,
When
he's
he's
not.
in the tower, he's
Yeah.
like, okay, now I'm committed.
Yep.
But he had no interest. He's just like, I'm out here drinking with
Yep.
two other cops. And,
Exactly.
so I thought that was kind of interesting. And then the last scene of Love is Strange is playing with McNulty in the car.
Yeah.
And I that one to me is a really interesting choice because I feel like McNulty, his love for police work, is also like the source of his discontent.
Yes.
And so he's
100%.
and so he's in this like he's miserable. He's
Yes.
like, and then he's like, I'm police, and he falls down the
Yes,
hill.
he falls down.
it's
He's like
it's
just kind of fumbling and looking at his badge.
Yeah.
And
So it's just a very, it's just some nice symbolism, which I appreciate. So, all right, those are all the details that I had
nice
for this.
job.
Anything else that stood out to you?
No, I don't think that there's anything else that stood out to me.
Okay.
I'm excited for the next episode here. I'm
Okay,
excited
yes.
now
So
that we
this is
know. Okay, so now that we know the pair ups too, I'm really excited to see how these pairs work together and what these pairs contribute to the case overall.
Okay.
We know, let's see here, what did I have down here? So it looks like McNulty and Santangelo are going to be looking at the open homicides and trying to get leads. Hurt Carver, Sidner, the new guy, and Kima, I keep calling her Kima instead of Greg's, but I like the name Kima, are going to the street dealers and are going to follow them back to Barksdale. Polk and Mahone, oh my gosh, these two. That I was saying to you before this, because we both like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I was like, this is where Scully and Hitchcock came from. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's these
That's
guys
such a great
exactly.
pull. I love
it
that.
is these guys exactly.
Yeah.
And then Freeman and Presbluski and Clerical, and you just know Presbluski is not going to be happy stuck in Clerical. I just feel like he's going to be bored and do something stupid. So that's my stab in the dark there for what's coming next. I'm very curious to see. And Polk Mahone, who are running up specific leads, and like these guys can't even stay sober. So I'm really curious to see how like they interview a specific lead, how that's going to go.
Yeah. I think those are all. I love all those predictions. Those are. I'm excited to see your reaction to the when the future comes to you. But I did think that it's interesting. Just a comment about Polk Mahone, because they're these background characters for the most part, but they talk about like who signed. I think it's Mahone says like who signs the arrest slip. I'm gonna get those two guys switched up.
Yeah,
and he's like, or who signs the overtime slips.
Yeah,
like. What the hell do you have to do?
I know.
What kind of overtime are you going to do?
Exactly. What does he say? He says like the way from red to black is with green or something like. I've never heard that saying before, and like I get it, but boy, I mean, just right off the bat, you're pulling the like, how are we getting paid for? I haven't shown my worth whatsoever, but how are you paying me for overtime? How much do I get?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I think it's just like. Well, that's Herc's future right there.
Yes. Oh my God, totally that is Herc 20 years down the line. Oh, so sad.
So, okay, those are all excellent. So we talked a lot about, I think, what holds up or what kind of doesn't hold up anymore.
Yeah.
They're just right now, it doesn't feel like anything has changed. I don't know.
No, even like I was thinking to myself, the moment when they're all on the roof taking the pictures and Carver asks him, like, when did you know that you like girls? Like, I just feel like even with everything that we know now and just as more accepting as a society has become of LGBTQ people, that's still got to happen. There's still some dumb asshole out there asking like, when did you know that you like girls?
Yeah. I do. I definitely feel like that was like a writer kind of thing where, because like, who the hell is that? I mean, even like if you did want to ask that question of somebody, why are you asking it in that moment?
Right there.
That's like the
I finally got you alone. While you're taking photos, this is my chance to ask.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that of course is pretty funny, but otherwise, like, I mean, everything else really, I feel like it still holds up pretty well. There's not a lot that kind of, I mean, unfortunately, it's still kind of.
I agree. Yeah, so, unfortunately, it absolutely does hold up.
Well, I think that wraps up our episode.
I've covered all my too.
Okay, well, you've got Ellie's
Mr. Nugget. Yeah. Hey, I used it all right.
Nice. Thank you. I did have one other thing. I'm sorry, since you mentioned it. Yeah. God, that's so perfect. So I did have. I would like to update the lessons. We're going to call it Mr. Nugget's life lessons from The Wire.
Yes, I would like to hear some life lessons.
Well, I mean, I think that and I watched this season. I'll tell you now. It'll come up again, I'm sure. But I watched the series out of order. I watched the third season first, and then I watched the fifth season, and then I went back and watched it all.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Okay.
Because. Well, without going too much detail, I knew about it, but I just wasn't motivated for whatever reason when it first came out. And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to 2005, whatever. It was like, okay, this is the year that I give every season or every series, it's just due. I'm going to watch the whole thing. I also coincidentally watched 24, season 4, that same year, because I'm like, well, I'm committed. That was there are a few shows where I will speak badly of it, but the 24 is
That
a
one you did not
fucking
continue.
terrible show. No, I can't believe it made it as many seasons as it did. But in any case, there's a whole separate thing about that. But the point that I was kind of trying to get to is that my job was going pretty well.
Okay.
And so I was just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna get rewarded. I kind of had that like mentality of do a good job and you'll get rewarded.
Right.
And it didn't. The Mr. Nugget comment never once like registered that the company, whatever the structure, is not going to do what's right. They're going to do what makes us the most money.
Right.
And so you have to understand what the game is and play it properly. It never registered. I look back and I'm like, oh my God, like my career could have been so much different if I had understood like that basic concept. But, it's just unfortunately, like we like to think that there's a justice to the world and stuff like that. But when it comes to business and stuff, like, no, you pretty much have to like understand what the game is that's being played, and if you're not playing it well, then you're gonna pay the price for it.
You will pay the price.
Hopefully not. Hopefully it'll be maybe an extra year to get promoted or whatever. But that was my life lesson from this.
Until you get to the point where you get to also not appreciate the guy in the basement making the nuggets.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Hopefully, and no, I'm going to remember it this time. But I mean, one of the interesting things is that like you look at for example, we skipped over the scene because it was a bit of filler, but like the scene in Burrell's office.
Yeah.
When Dana was like, well, what if it's true?
Yeah.
Like, what if he was killed for this reason? And Burrell's like, what can we do? Like, what we're a poor city. Like, what do you know? And so
we'll never have any witnesses if this gets out.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, if that's the case, then like you just have to like keep, and that's an interesting thing too, where he says like we have to hope that let McNulty take his best shot and hope he comes up short. Can you? I mean, if your boss's boss was talking about you that way, like, oh my God, you would have no career.
That's my biggest thing that I'm seeing in this series. It just drives me crazy. It's just like all of these guys in leadership who don't want to know, don't want somebody doing their job to the best of their ability if it makes them look bad.
Right.
It just kills me.
Right.
It kills me.
Yeah. And you have to, I have to believe that these guys started out with this intent of being good police.
Yeah.
And just as they go up the chain, they shave off a little bit of principle here, a little bit of principle there. And it becomes, it becomes about money and not about what's right. So anyway, so that was my last little bit. So
thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. This has been a terrific episode. We're coming in right under an hour, which I'm appreciating. So,
did it.
All right, well, that's it. So for episode 2, that is going to cover it. And so we will be back next week with episode 3, The Buys.
Ooh.
I'm sure that the HBO synopsis is going to be fantastic.
It's going to be riveting again.
So. All right. Well, thanks so much, Ellie.
Thank you, Chris.
All right.
Mr. Nuggets.
See you next week.
So long. Bye.
The Wired and Rewired podcast is Ellie Peterson and me, Chris Aronchek. Our theme song is Nice Vibes by Neon Beach. Want to holler at us? You can email us at wiredandrewired@gmail.com or hit us on the burner at 240-488-0060 to leave us a voicemail. We're Wired and Rewired on all the socials. And of course, if you like the show, please give us a rating and review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. It helps other Wire fans discover the show. And until next time,
Live on your fucking selves.